Okay, so we now have a character that can move around using WASD, but the camera looks really weird because it's always facing the exact same direction. Usually in this sort of game, your camera would move around when you move the mouse, so that's what we're going to add now. And we're going to do it by writing some script in our player. So we can detect our mouse moving by using a function called _input. And as I start typing the input function, Godot is going to complete most of it for me. I can just click that line there. But this input function actually detects all sorts of different input. So we need to make sure that we're checking mouse motion and not something like key presses and things. All right, if event is input event mouse motion. And now I know that I've detected mouse motion and I'm able to use it to rotate my camera. I just need a reference to the camera, and I can add a reference to the camera pretty easily by dragging it into the script and making sure that I hold down Control before I let go of the camera. Then I get this reference to my script just like you would have done with bullets and things in the 2D version of the script, but I haven't had to write it because I can just drag it on, hold down Control, and I get my reference to the camera. So I'm going to rotate my camera, camera 3D.rotation, and I'm going to rotate it about the y-axis and the x-axis. Camera 3D.rotation .y, so I'm setting it to the old rotation minus how much the mouse has moved. So I can get the mouse movement by event.relative x and y. One strange thing here, I haven't spelled rotation properly, is that to rotate around the y-axis, I'm actually going to check how much the mouse has moved in the x direction. If you imagine that's my y-axis, if I want to rotate around that axis, I do it by moving in the x direction. And it's the same thing for x. I'm going to check how much my mouse has moved in the y direction to handle that rotation. So I'll write that now. Camera 3D.rotation.x is going to be the old rotation.x minus event.relative y. So they're kind of swapped there for when I move the mouse y, it rotates around x. Now this is going to rotate the camera, but it's going to rotate it by so much that it's going to look crazy. Here we go. Here's my game. Every time I move the mouse a tiny little bit, it rotates by heaps. So we don't want to rotate by that much. We want to rotate by a tiny little number. I'm going to times both of these two things by a mouse sensitivity, which I'll set to a very, very low number. I'm going to make a new constant called mouse sensitivity, and it's going to be like 0.002, very, very small number, and times both of these by that very small number, mouse sensitivity. Same here, times by mouse sensitivity. That's going to turn the sensitivity way down on the mouse, and I'll actually be able to rotate the camera. There it is. As I move the mouse to the left, it rotates around the y-axis. Same if I move it to the right. Same if I move it up and down. But you might notice every time the mouse leaves the screen, it gets kind of awkwardly stuck and trapped. So I don't want my mouse to be able to leave the screen at all. We're going to add a bit more code now to capture the mouse input. So the way to do this is to add the ready function, just like we had in our 2D games, because the ready function is the bit that runs right when the player first loads in. It's as soon as it's ready to do stuff. So we want to basically capture the mouse motion as soon as we possibly can. So we're going to start capturing it in the ready function. And I just change the mouse mode to capture. Input has got a whole bunch of different types of mouse mode I can choose from. I'm going to choose mouse mode captured. So that means that my mouse will never ever be able to leave the play area. I'll click play. my mouse is permanently trapped now inside the play area. But it is really nice because I can turn the camera all the way around. Of course, eventually, I want to get the mouse back. It's quite hard to close the game at the moment because I've got no mouse. In fact, I think I'll have to close this game down by clicking Alt F4 to close down the game. But we've already checked for some input events. Let's check for some more input events. Let's check if we've pressed the escape key. So for this one, the event is going to be input event key. But we're going to check some more things as well. I'm going to check that the event has been pressed rather than held down or released or anything. It's just like a single tap on the key. And I'm going to check that it is indeed the escape key and not a different key. So third and final thing in my test, I'm going to test that it is that the event key code is the escape key. So two equal signs, key escape. So I've checked it's a key event, the key is being pressed down, and the key is the escape key. And if all those things are true, I'm going to turn my mouse mode back to being visible so that I can see my mouse again every time I hit escape. Mouse mode equals input dot mouse mode visible. And that's that for now. We have a game that lets us move the camera around as much as we like, and if we ever need to get control back of the mouse, we can press the escape key and I get my mouse back and I can close the game. Of course, there is still stuff to add to the camera. For one thing, you notice the player is still always moving forwards, regardless of way my camera is facing. And also the camera is moving about a very strange point. It's just kind of rotating about itself. We want it to rotate about the player. But we'll fix those things up in the next script because we've written quite a bit of code already. There's our basic camera working.